Hi everyone. In this little video, we're going to learn how to do inverse functions. This is a topic which is usually studied at about the year 11 level. So students will have already learned what a function is. And for this, we think of a function as when we have two variables and there is a relationship between them. So here x is our first variable. We manipulate it. We multiply it by 3 and add 2, and that will give us y, our second variable. You'll also see functions written in this format. F of x equals 3x plus 2. And this is often done when students are doing calculus. Now, back in high school, we looked at how to reflect things across the axes. So here we are going to reflect the shape across the x-axis. Now if we look at just one point here, it is at -2, 6. When it is reflected across the x-axis, it goes to -2, -6. So you can see that the change that we've made in those coordinates is that we've had to make the y from a positive to a negative. We've changed the sign of it. When we look at reflecting across the y-axis, let's look at this point here. Again, we've got -2, 6. When it is reflected across the y-axis, the new coordinates are going to be 2 and 6. So now we've had to change the sign of the x coordinate here. Now for inverse functions, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to reflect across this line here, the line y equals x. Now if we pick a point, and here we've got 1, 3, and we reflect it across that line, it's going to go over here, where now it is at 3, 1. If we had another point at, let's say, 0, 5, when it is reflected, it is going to go here to 5, 0. So you can see that what we are doing is we are changing the x and the y coordinates around when we reflect at the point. So to do that for a whole equation, we're going to swap the x and y's around. So let's start here by writing it using x and y's. We swap the x and the y around. So this now is going to become x equals 2y minus 3. And now we're going to rearrange that so that y is the subject. So it's in the format y equals whatever. Let's work out what it is. First step, let's get rid of that minus 3. So we'll add 3 to both sides. Now we need to get rid of that 2 times y. So we will divide both sides by 2. So that means that our inverse function, y is equal to x plus 3, all divided by 2. It's a really common style of question where they will ask you to graph a function, find the inverse, and then graph that, which we can see here. The yellow line is our function, y equals 2x minus 3. The blue line is our inverse function. Let's practice this a little bit. We start by writing our question out using X and Y format. Then we swap the X and Y around. So we've got X equals 6 minus 2Y. Then we have to make Y the subject. And this may involve several steps. But all we are doing is rearranging our equation so that we're going to end up with Y equals a function of X. So the first step we're going to do is going to go X minus 6 equals negative 2Y. Then we need to divide both sides by that negative 2. So we will get Y equals X minus 6 divided by negative 2. Now, because they gave us the question in this format here, f of x, we want to give our answer in the same format. So we write f to the negative 1, that indicates it's the inverse function of x equals x minus 6 divided by negative 2. Let's practice that with some other functions. We start y equals x squared, and we follow exactly the same process. We change x and y around like this. And then to make y the subject, we will have to do the square root on both sides. And then we can write that as f to the minus 1 of x equals the square root of x. The next question is exactly the same, except we're going to have some more steps. We're going to have y equals the square root of 1 minus x. We swap them around. X equals square root of 1 minus y. Now, to make y the subject, we're going to have to square both sides. So now we have x squared equals 1 minus y. Therefore, we're going to get negative y equals x squared minus 1. Y will therefore be negative x squared plus 1.